So welcome team, welcome members. We have a team from V&E Animal Health Solutions, partners to MeFarms, and they will be introducing themselves and the purpose of the visit to one of our farms here in Kitgum, Palabek. Yeah, so welcome and introductions.
Yes, farmers, thank you. I'm Morris from MeFarms. I'm heading the Department of Animal Health and Farm Management.
I'm Dr. Isaac Isaso from V&E Animal Solutions, and we are here to carry out some investigation about one of the complaints which was raised by one of our farmers here in his flock of these many goats you are seeing here. And before I go to the case which was reported by our farmer, I would like to give some insight about goat management when it comes to health, and among them is, I would say, the environment where they stay. The environment is crucial in a way that it can either predispose these goats to many problems, or it can be a factor for the production you can get from them. Then also, we can also talk about the individual goats. That comes with the age, the breed, and also the sex. When I would like to talk about the kind issue, which is the complaint about the cough and also the flu. This is a common finding in our goats, and also it can be due to several factors, among which would be environment where goats stay, especially where they stay most of their times, whereby you find that most of them can be having flu-like signs. Others can deal with cough, and we could associate with the environment, but also the other factors, among which would be the parasitic infestations in the flock. That comes with the control of worms on your farm, which is a key factor. I think the health manager will talk about it. But briefly, it's so important that we need to control worms in goats regularly. Regularly means that it depends on the area you are in and then the environment you are using to raise these animals. But at least what we mean by regularly, we mean that at least monthly, and it depends on which dewormer you're going to use, and who can decide the dewormer is the veterinary profession. Because if we don't manage these worms, they can predispose our goat to many things. Among them is the cough. Sometimes it can be parasitic, that they have lungworms, and so if you don't regulate them, it can be a problem. Then also managing the environment. This comes with hygiene. Hygiene is key when you're raising goats, especially where they stay inside their houses and also in environment like in this place. If the hygiene is poor, it can predispose them to many problems. Among them can be infections like bacterial infections, then also parasitic infestations like those worms and coccidia, and also other managemental problems. Then when we talk of individual goat management, especially I stick to the kids, especially when they are born. When kids are born, we need to put more effort to see that they get enough of what they require to get at the time, among which is the colostrum. You see, sometimes when kids are born, we neglect that thing of that time when they are born, especially the 2-hour time, whereby they should, at least in 6 hours, they should be getting enough colostrum. And this colostrum is so important in a way that it can provide in the passive immunity from the mother to the kid. Then also it can help them to survive that period, because it has a lot of things in it. But sometimes when you neglect that and you leave the water hidden and you just leave it there, sometimes the kid can fail to get the colostrum, and you find that the kid has failed to sustain its age and it can die as early as possible. And when you can associate with diseases, yet it is managed. So we should focus on that whenever they are produced, we ensure that they get enough colostrum, and also they are fed well for the first at least 3 months before they are weaned. Then I also talk about something we call introducing new goats on the farm. It's a big problem for our farmers that whenever they have introduced the new goats, they just introduce them to the older flock immediately without isolating them. And isolation is very important, that at least you can monitor that goat for some unusual behaviors, for some abnormal signs, and you can manage them in that isolation unit before even they spot the old stock. And that's very important, and it's very, very important as part of biosecurity. Isolating new flocks from the old flocks, at least 3 weeks, 2 weeks. Sometimes they can be 2 weeks, but at least maximum can be 3 weeks, 21 days, so that we be monitoring for anything that is unusual before we bring them inside. Then also before we bring them, we need to get the history of where they have been raised from, especially individual history for each goat, like history of abortion, history of vaccination, so that we know where to start from, and also history of worm management, and also the environment where they have been staying. Sometimes they can be indoor, and for us we bring them in an extensive environment, and that can also stress them, and they can also have issues with these signs you can see in your flock. Then also we talk about the feeding, how they have been fed. Sometimes different farmers feed their goats differently. Some can pen entirely on the head, some can pen entirely on fresh grass, others can feed hair, silage, fresh grass, and even other supplements. And if we don't gather that information, we can stress our goat indirectly that when we produce it, we bring it on our farm, we can start using feeds which have been not usual to eat, and that can cause problems because they need time to acclimatize to the environment. That means we should also be aware of that, and we also gather information to help us manage our new flock. Lastly, but not the least, talk about the issue of treating, diagnosing, treating. Our culture is most farmers, they just treat. Whenever they see something, they inject. I call it, it's not proper because it is a big alarming nowadays globally that we have issue of antimicrobial resistance, which has been one of the factors is our behavior on the farm as farmers, farm managers, and even veterinarians, whereby we just go by way of treating without doing a thorough diagnosis to understand what are we treating and why are we treating this drug and why should we maintain this drug. So the information is, whenever you have issues like when your animals are sick, before you go into injecting a drug, you need to do thorough investigation or thorough examination of the patient, and you understand whether it is really important to give a drug. Sometimes there can be managemental issues, whereby even if you give a drug and yet that poor management issue is still there, it cannot help much. Whereby you need to first investigate first to understand that this is not an infection, this is not because of this, but it's because of this thing in the environment. And if I remove that factor in the environment, my growth will be fine. So we should emphasize we should focus on carrying out thorough investigation before we treat, and also to minimize that antimicrobial resistance, which if it comes on your farm, it is a big challenge that you will go and spending too much in drugs, and you will end up losing almost all your entire flock because of antimicrobial resistance. And that's why we recommend that whenever you have some problem, you call a vet or a personnel who can be well conversant with the diagnosis issues aspects. Then at that they can take samples, but samples which are taken from goats, they depend on what the person has analyzed. But commonly we take blood samples. Why? Because we need to ascertain and know what is going on with the body of the animal. We can use that blood sample to understand many things, especially what is going on in the health of the body of the animal. And some of the tests which are done on basic tests which are done on the blood, the complete blood picture, which gives us the entire picture of what is going on in the blood, the parasitic infestation in blood, Also the blood parameters, like those which can point to how is the red blood cell parameter is looking, and also the white blood parameters, which can help us understand whether there is some infection or not, and how is the body responding to that infection. Then also we can also decide to take swabs for microbe B. That is when we want to do further investigation, whether we suspect the bacterial infection, and we want to know what bacteria is there and which drugs are effective. This test is important that if you get to know the bacteria, you can also submit it to the different drugs on market, and we know which drug is effective, so that we minimize overuse of drugs in our stock. Then also we can take fecal sample. Fecal sample mainly is taken to understand the parasitism in GIT. That is the worm and also the coccidia. And that is done routinely because that is a common thing we have in our goats. That's why we do worm routinely. And it is good to assess our flock to know that this is the state of the worm burden. And you also have to know that when you treat, let me say today with worm, we take a fecal sample before we treat. We know the worm burden, we treat, then we take 14 days. We resample again the same animals we sampled last time before we worm, and we compare the results to see whether the drug we are using currently is effective. Has it reduced the worm load, or it has just remained, it has multiplied? And if it has reduced, that is the better. If it has not reduced and it has just maintained or it has just increased, then we need to change the farming strategy. So basically, that's what I want to say.
Thank you, Dr. Dear farmers, Doctor has explained everything. As MeFarms farmers under the Department of Animal Health and Farm Management, once we get issues, why are we bringing this? We want to come up with a strategy that is helping our farmers. We do not want to just treat. For us, we do thorough investigation and then we get a lasting solution. So with what we have done today, we are going to analyze the results and we come up with a healthy plan for the stock. It's not the matter of injecting our goats and then they develop resistance or the drugs turn into toxics. So for us, we always want to have a thorough investigation, understand the health of the animals, and when we are doing these activities, we also reach out to the people handling. We do not just jump in. It is a call. That's why I am taking you back. Record keeping. Before even we take the samples, we look at the history, we look at the records taken, and we follow up. And then we understand which kind of samples are we going to take, which kind of tests are we going to have. So with V&E, we are in partnership and we are trying this and we are making sure that we let our farmers reap from the business, because any loss because of diseases, because of poor management, is a great blow to our business growth. So farmers, let us not be jumping into treatment. Let us have a thorough environmental analysis, thorough animal health analysis, so that once we have the two factors, we succeed. Because in most cases, we treat, as he said, when the animal is not even sick, but it's because of the poor management. So this is what we do under the extension arm. So farmers out there, reach out to us such that we make sure that we analyze the infestation, because it is not even on only sampling. We do a thorough disease surveillance. We are in contact with the people who are around the farm, the vets. We see how other animals are faring. The vets have information. So by the time we come to the farm, we have the information, and we know what we are coming to do at your farm. And this is what we have done here. This is one of our farms here in the north, and we are confident the issues that we had, we have now a lasting solution. We are going to produce a thorough a report with all our investigations, and then we are going to have, at the end of it, we are going to have a healthy plan for this farm. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. Maybe a viewer out there, because in Uganda and Africa at large, we are basically dealing with smallholder farmers. What is your encouragement, especially looking at the business perspective of these services, especially offered by V&E, disease investigation, diagnosis, and others? Basically, what do you encourage? Why do you encourage farmers? What is the business element in it? What do they benefit at the end of the day, so that they are encouraged to take on these services without keeping in mind that traditional element that goats can just survive on their own without even doing any diagnosis, and as long as they are just grazed, and that's enough to remove that kind of traditional element from the farmers, so that we can adopt the commercial aspect in goat farming.
Say that when we start up goat business, even other enterprises like cattle or what, someone starts it with the aim of getting profits. But when you're getting profit, before you get profits, you should really work for the profit. That is what we call investing. And through investment, it encompasses many things, among which is, let me focus on the animal health. How can it make someone to make a loss or to make profit? I would say when you get issues with the health of the animals, as a farmer you spend a lot in management. But why we advise farmers there that you should utilize professional bodies to carry out thorough investigation before even you start up trying this and this and this, because it's all about money you are putting in the name of buying drugs, in the name of calling this vet, he tries, they fail, he goes, you call another person, he tries, they fail. Yet you are paying those people, and that is part of your capital you are putting in your what? In your enterprise. So to minimize such, it is advised, and we advise strictly our farmers there, that you really need to call professional bodies to help you in thorough diagnosis, or they help you in investigating why is that problem we are having is happening in your farm, before even you start up other methods to see that you solve that problem. Because in the end, if we investigate very well and we get the conclusion, we zero down to what is the problem and really tackle, or we get opportunity methods which can help you minimize or even remove such problem on your farm. And that can prevent you from spending unnecessarily. I'll call it unnecessarily because someone is just trying here and there. Like some farmer call, like in this case, they call you that my goats, they have flu and they have cough. You give this drug, What if the cough is because the environment is not good for the goats, and you are just creating drugs, yet the farmer is spending more money buying drugs which are not producing results. And yet if the current serious investigation, that is the problem, let us try managing it this way. We can minimize the costs which farmers incur when they are trying to manage the conditions using several means which are really costly, especially when it comes to this entire flock with over 100 goats. You really spend a lot in drugs and even in veterinary service, and yet you are losing your goats die, we succumb to yes, sickness and even the production is affected mainly, and that is a loss to the farmer. Even if now this we count profits in the number of kids produced in a year. If the number of kids produced in a year in your flock reduces by a half, that is a severe loss to the farmer. And yet you have put in more effort to see that at least you increase it. So to minimize that, we advise at least we try to utilize laboratory services, I would say. Because in Uganda, we don't utilize most farmers, especially the question has to be small and medium scale farmers. They say, how can I spend such money on this? Yet I can call someone to come and inject my goat. Yes, injection is good, but to some extent it is the worst. Especially when you inject it without knowing why you're doing that. Sometimes it is necessary to at least do a professional investigation and to know what to do and how to do it so that we minimize the cost of spending when it comes to animal health management.
Thanks so much, Doctor. I think that is educative, especially looking at the productivity element, because most cases of losses will come through abortions, others will come through kids dying, especially due to pneumonia, starvation, and other respiratory infections. Yeah, so dear farmers, we encourage you to do most of these tests so that we can achieve productivity at our different farms, because we are in this for business. So to you, Doctor, and the V&E team, we have also got other issues, especially that we are into this to standardize it first of all, so that we can up our game, especially into international business, exporting some of these breeds. But it will come at a point when most of these percentages, especially into the farmer fraternity, are just forged. So is there a way, in addition to other services you are doing, that you can do DNAs of some of these animals, and of course talk through other services that the farmers can get from this partnership that we have with you as MeFarms? That will be great to hear from you.
Okay, thank you so much. And to our beloved farmers, as I said, I'm Dr. Isaac Isaso, working with a big team at V&E Animal Solutions, and we are located in Kawempe, Chirokore. V&E, it has many components. It has the major component is the laboratory component. The other services, but in the laboratory section, we offer several services, among which is the most common service which farmers should utilize. It is carrying out farm visits. We carry out routine farm visits on request by farmers, and from those farm visits we usually do carry out health assessment of flocks assessment, and we also help in disease investigations, and also we help in advisory services to the farmers, depending on farmers' need and what visits. So that one should be utilized by most farmers, because it's very important that from those visits we sit down and we start planning for the flock, we start seeing gaps, and also we help you maintain those good practices which are being carried out on your farm. Then another thing we do, carry out tests on many lab tests, among which is blood sampling, and from that blood sampling you can do a lot of tests. You can do brucella screening from your flock. You can also do individual animal evaluation by doing complete blood picture. Then you can also do tick-borne disease surveillance that comes with ticks. You know, tick-borne diseases are also in our flock. Then we also carry out acaricide sensitivity tests, especially when a farmer is really affected by ticks which don't even die, yet they are using acaricide. We carry out those tick acaricide tests, sensitivity tests, to understand which acaricide is effective on the parasite on your farm. Then also we do fecal analysis, and here we monitor the worm burden in your flock. You know, in goats, the most common, the most feared worm is the Homunculus worm. That worm is very serious in our flock, and it can cause severe loss in production when you poorly manage worms in your farm. So we can help you understand the state at which your flock is at when it comes to the worm burden, especially the Homunculus, and we can help you understand the treatment plan, the management plan. Then also we can do microbial culture sensitivity tests, especially depends on the samples, but we usually carry out such to minimize overuse of drugs and microbials on your farm, and also we help understand which drugs can be effective, antibiotics can be effective on your farm depending on the current state of your farm. So we carry out such microbial, bacterial culture sensitivity tests. Then I'm talking in line with goats, and in line with goats we also carry out feed testing. Like for example, when they are using silage, maize bland supplementation, and others. We can also help you in testing these feeds for contamination, like aflatoxins, like bacterial contamination, and also we will help analyze the safety of your water you're using as the drinking water on your farm. You can also analyze it, and we understand that it is safe for the goats, so that we minimize diseases that can arise from that contamination from there. Then we also help in advising farmers when it comes to production, especially on how improving farmers' management skills on their farm. We also help in that. Then the question about getting the best breeds, or analyzing to know that this is the breed. If they say this is a Boer breed, is it really a Boer breed, and what percentage is it? For now we cannot offer that, but we have, in future we are planning to, but we have some partners, some especially in government and some private partners which we can work with to understand and help document whether this breed is a Boer, let me say, is a Savannah, but at what percentage is it at? Because I know in future farmers are looking forward to see that they are leaving the local market, and also they want to utilize the international market by starting exporting farmers, and also importing. Though our original people who supply us goods from abroad, they have invested in that, whereby they produce with the document to show that this is the breed we are giving, but this is the lineage, and this is the percent when it comes to genetics. But for now, we utilize partners from government like NAGRIC to help us document such, depending on the need of the farmer. So that is what I can respond to that. And I will conclude by saying it's not all about money for the tests, or what our farmers look at. This is too expensive for me. But before you look at that cost you are going to put in, you look at the need of that test which is going to be done, because it will help you improve, and it will help you understand the situation, and also minimize costs indirectly if you don't know. As I said, that you can spend money buying drugs, utilizing several veterinary services, using a clinical view, and in the end you lose your goat, yet you have spent more money. But if you start on the right track of collecting a sample from the diagnosis, analyzing it, then the advice based on what the findings have indicated. It is really important that you can minimize the costs which can be incurred when you are carrying out animal management in your flock. So basically I would say, farmers, thank you so much, and don't give up. This is an enterprise which is good for farmers. And these goods, we got them from the wild, we improved them. We want to mimic the environment from there using the resources we have, so we should focus on that. They should get enough water, clean, they should be sleeping in a good hygienic environment. And also when it comes to feeding, I know my colleagues talk about it so much. It is really important that we focus on improving. Thank you so much. May God bless you.
Thank you so much, Dr. and the team Morris, for the beautiful insights and for your information. All farmers that come through MeFarms have been discounted for some of these services at V&E. So feel free to engage with us and we can lead you to this team. I do not know if Morris has final words, then we can close this. Otherwise, thanks for listening.
Thank you. I do not have much, but I would like to thank Team V&E for the services and for the partnership. And farmers out there, reach out to us such that we lead you to these people. You've heard they have discounted for our farmers. So let us not fear to make these investigations. You know, there are three principles. One is on the breeding. This is what we are doing with the meat. This is what we are doing as MeFarms. And all our partners, that's why we follow them. And don't also fail to be our partner. And you also reap from these benefits. The second part is on the management. We said it. See, when you don't have the right human resource, you will again lose. But we need to invest in the human resource. Let's develop our capacity, their capacity. MeFarms is here for you. Farmers, we have skilled the youth who are going to help you in that. Because these ones, when you have the skilled ones, they will tell you that this is high time we make a thorough investigation. So the third one is on feeding. We want these goats to eat the best, to feed on the best feeds. We don't want them to feed on feeds which are having aflatoxins. We want them to feed on the nutritious feeds. So as MeFarms feed, we have a pasture strategy whereby we have these basic pastures that we recommend, and you see how your farm is moving forward. So thank you, farmers. Those are my last words. Come to us, feel free, we are okay, and we need to grow together. Thank you.